Thank you very much, Marty. And just let me make sure I can do this technology here. Hopefully everybody can see this. Did that work? Nope. Those are my kids. I want that, but I want to be able to expand it. And hopefully it still shows up there. Did it work? Hey, bravo. Well, thank you very much. And that's a heck of an act to follow. You know, I've had a lot of interaction with billionaires, believe it or not, in my career. And it's a real pleasure to meet one or be around one that isn't nuts. And it's I've had that on two occasions. One was a gentleman named Don Valentine in Silicon Valley when I was in the semiconductor industry, and this gentleman here. So what an absolute pleasure to hear people giving back to their community and really getting involved and being really proactive and positive with the people they work with. So I'm here to talk about the Hemp Plastic Company. We all know that we have a problem, of course, with plastic. You're looking at a 370 million ton per year consumption of plastics in the world. Now, plastic is consumed that much because it's an amazing material. It actually replaces many other materials like steel or aluminum or wood or fabric, whatever it may be. So there's a reason why we use plastic, but it's an issue. We know we have to deal with it. We know we have to dispose of it. We know we have to reduce how much we use, and we have to reduce the carbon emissions associated with it. So that's why we created the Hemp Plastic Company. So my background a little bit on me, I'm 35 years in the finance industry. I've been in tech companies and growth companies my whole life. I have done medical devices, chemicals, internet retailing, semiconductors. I actually was a member of a company and the head of treasury, M&A, and corporate finance of an S&P 500 semiconductor company that built the internet. So I understand what people are talking about in the meetings here. I get to work with these guys over on the right, a guy named Greg Dean, who's got 30 years experience in the plastic space, knows more about plastics than I'm ever going to know. And the great part about Greg is he's my partner, and I can trust him implicitly. Same goes for Todd Rosen. We're talking 40 years experience in the plastic space. He's venture invested in companies. He's the head of our Southeast Asian sales, and he worked at GE Plastics for 30 years. Then Paul Benheim, who's our hemp expert in the Hemp Plastic Company. He's written 8 books on the subject. He's built companies, successfully listed them. So what you have here is you have 4 guys who are very, very competent at building technology companies and bringing them to market. We are not a hemp company. We are a plastics or sustainable materials company that happens to use hemp. And we're at commercial scale. Our technology is blending micronized hemp with various different thermoplastics. We have a really simple USP. It's about affordability. It's about simplicity of application, the fact that it's marketable, but also that it's available in volume and it's low carbon. It's customizable, which is a big part of our value proposition, and it's part of a B2B recurring revenue stream. Now, I used to be in the internet retailing business. It was all about recurring revenue stream. What you need to make sure is the cost to acquire a customer, this is the finance guy coming out of me, the cost to acquire a customer has to be significantly less than the value of the customer you acquire. That's the basics of internet retailing. In this particular case, we are absolutely applying that premise. We have scalable manufacturing in Michigan, USA. So the achievements we've made to date in just a few short years and virtually or very small amounts of money, we've been able to sell 2 million pounds, so we are at commercial scale. We have volume repeat commercial customers. We have multiple customers. We achieved profitability last year, woohoo. And we developed well over 30 variants of our hemp plastic. So we're looking at a company that's getting to commercial market with very low invested capital, but it's actually very defensible. We have 33 patents issued and pending, and we have a pipeline of well over 100 companies that we're looking to work with, and a lot of global opportunities. So that's a lot to achieve in a very short period of time. And the way we do it, the way we kind of look at what this polymer is very much like PE or VC or like an investor would look at it. Our polymer has to have these criteria in order for us to be successful with them, and also for it to be investable. It has to have physical performance, so it has to have the performance that our customers need. Sounds pretty obvious, but ours also needs to have the environmental performance. So does it have a significant reduction in plastic? Does it have a significant reduction in carbon emissions? Yes, you can tick that box. It has to have processing performance. So when we're selling to a customer, we're selling to the CEO, to the marketing guy, the finance guy, and the operations guy. Processing performance is important to the operations guy. They got to be able to know that this polymer is going to work in volume in their systems without destroying their equipment. That's super, super important in that industry. And a lot of people forget that when they start getting into sustainable materials. They go find a unicorn product that isn't cost effective, doesn't run on existing equipment, and is essentially not sellable. It has to have economic performance. We have to be able to produce it in volume at a low cost, which we are able to do. And it has to be scalable. Somebody who's looking, and this is a $1 trillion industry, we're talking about 370 million metric tons of polymer every year. Somebody who's looking at our plastic needs it to go beyond bathtub scale. It needs to be at commercial scale. This is an important feature for our products. So, like I've said, we have a real value proposition, and I highlighted the word real because Todd Rosen, our Southeast Asian experience guy, said, Glenn, you got to get it across that these are real products available today in volume and they're being sold to real customers. That is actually a thing that's going on, and we're growing very, very quickly, particularly in the last 18 months. Why? Because it's available and affordable. It's a massive plastic and carbon reduction. So when you think about recycling in America, only about 8% of all plastic gets recycled in America. The vast majority of it goes into landfill. So if I can take a product that's easy to implement and at a reasonable cost, and I can immediately move the needle for you, Mr. Customer, down at least 25% and maybe up to 100%, a reduction of your fossil fuel plastic, that's meaningful to you. That's something I can do reasonably quickly today with your existing equipment. We also have FDA grade quality products, so if you need that for your food and cosmetics purposes. And frankly, you've seen some of the pictures of our products, but they're actually very marketable, very pretty, and it's great. We're not talking about people trying to sell, garbage plastic or banana peel plastic. We're talking about people trying to sell hemp plastic. That's a uniquely marketable material. It's an example of our CO2 savings. So with a simple shift, somebody can reduce their CO2 emissions by 40 to 65%. In some markets, they don't care. But in markets like automotive, for instance, they do care a lot. So we can have a real impact in some of these markets. We can go more than that if we use as our base material recycled materials. So again, very significant potential change, but very low switching costs. Our products, we have standard products. So we use a hemp polypropylene, a hemp polyethylene. These are basic materials that people use in billions of pounds today. We also have a hemp PLA, which is a combination of a 100% biomaterial with our hemp. But where we really, really do excel is in our smart customization. A customer can come to us and say, we need a slight change here. We need a UV inhibition. We need it to be particularly durable. We need it to be denser because of particular float rates or something like that. And we can actually do that. So we're actually very good at applying our knowledge and our experience with plastics to bring products to market. We make all of this in the good old USA. Far more relevant this year than it was even just 5 years ago. But being able to supply right in the heart of manufacturing in Michigan makes a big difference. And that's great. We work our contract manufacturing model that allows us to scale very quickly with very little, very low capital intensity. And we can provide up to 30 million pounds of hemp plastic every year. So what has happened in the last little while? We've had some really good commercial traction. We grew 700% year over year from a revenue perspective in 2024. We had a 2.5 times book to bill during the year. We're going into 2025 with significant growth. We hit profitability last year. We hit profitability in Q1. And we're looking at a target revenue in the range of 3 to 4 million this year. It's a B2B recurring sales model. Once you get qualified with some of these customers, you remain so. I like to look at it this way. Again, I'm a finance guy. So I look at it and I say, if you've got a whole bunch of customers using fossil fuel plastics and they want to convert to a sustainable material, once you've converted them to a sustainable material and they've qualified you for their volume sales, then the next guy has to have that much greater a significant change to more sustainability in order to displace you. So the idea, the sales idea and the marketing idea is to get into a customer, be their sustainable materials provider, and then grow from there. So a lot of the customers that we might have on our list might be white goods customers, and I'll go through some examples. White goods customers, for instance. Once you've got in there, and I got one customer who's doing 600,000 metric tons of fossil fuel plastic a year. That is a very large amount. So get qualified in there and then build out your bowling pin strategy. Works very, very well within these companies. Here's an example of where we might be used and where you wouldn't see something like a backyard compostable polymer. It's in wastewater treatment. One of the things I also really love about this business is you'll work with customers nobody really has ever thought of or heard of, in industries nobody's really thinking about that happen to be $300 billion industries or happen to be multi-100 million pound consumers of plastic. Nobody really thinks about this. We got into this market. Our customer needed a hemp plastic that they could customize to fulfill a particular market segment opportunity, knowing the nature of how our polymer would be used. So we did over 30 variants when we did our testing with them and worked with them for about a year. And then we hit the magic formula. That magic formula means, and from a processing perspective and our customers' perspective, they're able to increase the flow rates of the wastewater treatment plants by up to 10 times. And what does that mean? Why is, everybody's been talking about, I follow meetings when we talk about brain cells and all kinds of, I used to be in the medical devices space too, sold that company to Stryker. And so I know that there's a heck of a lot of technology associated with this. It's all very sexy and very interesting. But if you can go into a municipality that's growing, that has an antiquated wastewater treatment plant, and you tell them you no longer have to pour concrete to expand or fix that plant, you can actually implement something for half the cost, a tenth of the cost, and double their output. All of a sudden, you've got a very interested municipality. And so what we've been able to do is we've been able to apply this technology with our customer partner. We have a long-term supply agreement with that customer. It's exclusive on both sides. And we provide them the polymer for this magic solution for these municipalities. We already have 5 of these programs deployed throughout the United States. We are now looking at global expansion into Southeast Asia, Australia, in Europe as well. And that's the nice thing about our model is we are an intellectual property focused company. We can actually start to manufacture in Europe and manufacture in Australia and manufacture elsewhere if we so want. So it's a very, very good 2 minutes. Okay.
No, I have a question.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so you're talking about the intellectual property. Do you license this technology, or you're also you have to be the manufacturer?
No, we can. So it's totally an IP-based model. I used to be in the semiconductor business. We made the chips that made the internet work. We did it all on a fabless semiconductor model. So we are intellectual property focused. You can look it up, PMC Sierra. So we ended up supplying almost all the internet equipment manufacturers. I bought a whole bunch of companies, ran a venture fund, the whole bit inside the company. But the whole idea was the scalability of our systems. We were doing really great business. We never ever manufactured our own product. In this case, we established our intellectual property profile as the core investment. The money I raise today is very high value and very high cost money. So I want it to be on a high value item, which is intellectual property. Not manufacturing equipment, I can buy that cheap and using cheap money. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to set up a system that I could plunk in these various different countries. And so I can either do that directly myself, or in some of the countries which may not be strategic to me right now, I can look at licensing opportunities. And that's actually what we're doing. There's 2 countries right now we're looking at to do licensing deals.
And why aren't you getting like grants from companies or large foundation endowments because of this impact on plastic reduction?
Well, we can get grants on it. The grant process can be long and can be a little adjustable. And in the meantime, you've got to run a business. So that's what we've been doing up until now. But we're working on grants as well.
One of our healthcare companies raised $100 million from Brazil to be able to roll out their healthcare solution there. I'm just wondering if other countries might want to take advantage of something that you obviously have a robust solution on.
And yes, I'm going to say yes to all of that. Yeah, I want robust solutions and sales in every country and to grow this very quickly. It's a really scalable business.
Your first market is the United States?
First market is the United States. And, but, we can get into Canada, we can get into Europe. Europe is, with a little funding, we can get Europe going as well. And we've established a demand profile as well. So, that previous example was in water treatment. Here's another example. This is actually a cooler available online. Essentially, our customer needed a more sustainable cooler that was still durable. They targeted to environmentally conscious buyers. Please go and buy 10,000 of these if you wouldn't mind. And we were able to customize the formula. Again, customization. We own all the intellectual property associated with our polymer customizations. So customization for a formula that allowed it to be affordable, durable, and actually beautiful and marketable for this customer. And so what they were able to accomplish is retail pricing parity with their existing products, reduce their fossil fuel plastic by 25%, and in this case, the CO2 emissions were reduced by about 45%, have a beautiful product, and also expand their product line and have it all made in America. So it's just one example of many examples that can happen in the space. Automotive, really suitable for our kind of polymer, and we happen to be in Michigan, so this is a good opportunity for us as well, and we want to further invest in this area. 390 pounds of plastic in the typical light vehicle market. Our products made in Michigan, thousands of applications. Sorry.
Are your patents international?
Yes, we have patents throughout Europe. We have issued patents in Europe, issued patents in North America, and in the United States. And these patents are really powerful. And I was going to talk about patents later, but I'll talk about it now. This isn't about, hey, I've got a neat tool or I've designed a jar or something like that. This is about the foundational patents of making hemp plastic. So if you want to take micronized hemp and blend it into any thermoplastic, chances are you're running into our IP. And IP is super important to customers who are thinking about planning large volume purchases with you. They want to know that they're with the market leader and with the IP leader in the space. And we were able to soak up very large amounts of IP in the area.
You're not going to sell it in China, right?
No. Well, never say no. Sure. Depending on the price and how protected it can be. So we've identified target markets. So one of the things we've benefited from is our brand. So we're very good on social media. We're very good with our brand. People come to us. I've got over 100 customers in my opportunities list. I've got about 21 tier ones. I can't even support them. I don't have the capacity to support these customers yet. But they're coming in because they're aware of our brand. It has cachet. And they're looking for sustainable solutions of variety.
I have more questions from the audience online.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so 3 questions. What is the source of the hemp?
What is the cost?
The source.
The source.
Wait.
Yep.
And then what's the quantity of the source? How much quantity can the source provide? And then what's the transport cost of the hemp to manufacturing plants?
Okay, so we buy our hemp from a variety of different suppliers in North America right now. When we move to Europe, we'll buy it in Europe. When we move to Australia, we'll buy it in Australia. So it's a variety of different suppliers, a variety of different variants of the hemp, depending upon the plastic that we're going to be making. And the cost ranges and the distance ranges, but it's actually not too far from Michigan. So you'd be in the northern United States. We're looking right now at supply in Texas. We're looking right now at supply in South Carolina and North Carolina, and we also get some from Canada.
And the transport cost?
Not too heavy a burden.
There's another question. Why can't you just micronize other plants like bamboo or different types of canes?
Yeah, I mean, some other plants are possible. Number one, hemp is a fabulous plant, right? So it is one of the greatest absorbers of carbon dioxide on planet Earth. And we have access to a lot of it. One of our nice little secrets is that we use a lot of waste hemp that is part of the industrial hemp process. That's where the hemp is being used for other things like decortication. So they'll be used for fabrics or paper or hempcrete or animal bedding or whatever it may be. So we have access to large volumes of it. We have access to it at good cost, and we can wrap patents around it. So I don't really want to be selling bamboo, which has a lot of formaldehyde issues and the like, when I can be selling this. Nice.
Another question.
Yep.
How about what's the cost of integrating this product with just using comparable conventional plastics?
Typically, when you're going to see a price premium on any kind of compounded material. So if you're adding hemp or calcium carbonate or talc or glass or anything to any plastic, you're going to have a cost increase. It's not too bad when it comes to hemp because we buy our hemp pretty cheap, and we're getting into volumes now. So our cost structure is actually dropping and dropping and dropping, which is very good. If you were to compare us to any kind of sustainable material or complex material, we're very competitive. And in fact, we can see cost reductions against some of those, what I would call more unicorn products.
Are costs on a metric ton basis?
They can be on a metric ton. We've sold all the way up to, I mean, we're well over 2 million. We're at 2 million pounds now in total shipments. So we've been able to sell in very large quantities.
We have about 2 or 3 minutes left now.
Yeah, you bet.
Are there any other questions in the audience? This is super fascinating. Keep on going.
You know what, guys? I'm a big fan of industries where you can actually carve out your own niche. This is a huge industry, and we're carving out our own niche right now.
Can you talk a little bit more about the architectural? Because I have a son who's in real estate and who's very, talks to me about straw build and hemp build and all this stuff. And it's a pretty good sized market. So.
Okay, here's another market, and I love the question, but thank you very much. Here's another market that people don't really think about that much, but it's a really very large market, and that's the architectural sheet and laminates market. So I am particularly keen on it. It does take some development money in order to bring it to market, but there are all kinds of applications. This here is an example. I guess people online can't see it. Oh, maybe they can. But this is an example of a hemp plastic laminate. This could be used for signage. I love it for political signage, but it could be used for all kinds of different things like menu boards or whatever it might be for various different industries. The kinds of products that we're competing against might be thin or thick sheet plastic, and it might be used for things like wall coverings, millwork, garbage can surrounds, bathroom stall divides, ceiling tiles, lots of different things that people don't really think about that much. But we're able to make it very inexpensively. So if you compare it to a Wilson art or an Arborite or something like that, which might have phenolics, it might have a lot of handling, or it might have very complex sales channels associated with it, then the costs of those products go up and the sales channel costs of those products go up. So I don't sell this commercially online or available right now, but I do want to because I know that it's a very, very large market and we can carve a nice profitable niche in this space as well.
Any closing comments?
Well, I talked about our patents, so I'll go past that. Yeah, hey, isn't it great? I want to talk a little bit about this. We're moving from headwinds to tailwinds. I'm very excited about this. The last few years has been very I'll call it interesting in terms of, venture capital money, COVID, supply chain shocks, inflation, all that kind of stuff. Now we're starting to see, okay, things have settled down. We're getting some really good visibility on what's happening in our business, and we're getting tailwinds. We're getting companies coming to us and saying, look, I used to manufacture my products in China. Now I want to switch to a sustainable solution. I'm so excited you guys make this in America. So this Made in America thing's actually happening. We're already starting to see this flow. But it's not just Made in America, it's domestication of manufacturing. So we're seeing this in other countries as well, which is great for our intellectual property portability. It allows us to start manufacturing hemp plastics in other countries. Again, it all requires investment and time, but that's an exciting tailwind that's coming. So our next steps, we want to drive sales growth. We have products. We want to continue to improve our products. We want to make custom products. We want to drive growth where we're already seeing demand and also target the key target markets that we're going after. The big item for me is in growth. I've been in a lot of growth companies. It's if I invest to acquire more customers, are those customers going to be significantly more valuable than what I just invested to acquire them? Right now, we are nowhere near marginal cost versus marginal value, in my humble opinion. So that's worth us investing into it and driving growth in these market segments. I want to invest in smart people, bring them on board, sales and marketing, product configuration. I need to expand supply and expand manufacturing. Looking forward to meeting you all. Anytime you want, reach out. I'm very available.
Right, and we
Thank
have a
you.
room over here, and you're going to be at dinner, right?
I am going to be at dinner.
Fantastic, great.
Thank you, guys.